No, because we see the Old Testament being fulfilled through Jesus, ushers in the New Testament.
One,
Like Psalm 2.
So you got
please, Psalm 2.
All of the,
Give me Psalm 2.
all the Old Testament prophecies of Jesus, all there, all explained.
Show me one Old Testament. Does Psalm 22 mention Jesus?
All the evidence is there.
Does Psalm 22 mention Jesus?
I don't know.
Well, it doesn't. I do know, and it doesn't. So there you go. So
Well, I haven't got it down.
well, you're saying it's. Hang on, mind your back.
Psalm 2.
Oh, Psalm 2. Does Psalm 2 mention Jesus?
God's royal son with rule over nations.
Who is God's royal son in Psalm 2?
Acts 13.
No, wait. Don't just throw text at me. Psalm 2, who's it about?
Jesus.
Okay, if you read Psalm 2, it's about David. It's addressing, it's actually a Psalm of David addressing King David. This is not a trick, it actually says it in the passage. It's addressing David. It doesn't mention Jesus.
Okay, can I answer you?
Please. Mark
Jewish
Stranger.
Second Temple interpretation. Should we go to that?
No, we
the
can't.
Jewish Second Temple
No, I
interpretation?
want to focus on Psalm 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm focusing on.
Okay. Go ahead.
IQS and 4Q, fluorine, whatever. Qumran. Apply Psalm 2 to Messiah.
Okay.
Jesus equals God's son over the nations.
Does the Dead Sea Scrolls mention Jesus?
No, we got to finish this.
Well, there we are then.
No, we
never
never
mentioned
Psalm
it.
2's point. In Psalm 2, God's royal son with rule over nations.
Okay.
Rule over nations. Acts 13:33, Hebrews 1-5. It's a direct quotation. And Jewish Second Temple interpret it as the Messiah. Key match, Jesus equals God's son over the nations. Next. Do you want me to give you another
Please continue.
Testament?
So let's just read the first few verses of Psalm 2. Why do the nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us burst their bonds apart and cast their cords from us, and so on. Now, the anointed here means often translated as Messiah, but there are lots of anointed individuals in the Jewish Bible. Are you aware of that? Yeah. David is an anointed at his coronation in 1 Samuel. He's anointed. Yeah. Cyrus is not even an Israelite. He's a Persian king. He's called God's anointed, God's Messiah. You aware of that as well? Yeah. I can go through lots and lots of people. So it's not referring to a massively future, many centuries later guy called Jesus. Okay. You to assume that it's not historical.
Thank you. So can you explain, please?
Yes.
Why did the Jewish Second Temple interpret it as the Messiah?
When you say Second Temple Judaism, what do you mean by? Okay, no, hang on. Second Temple Judaism refers to the whole of Judaism from the Second Temple up to AD 70, presumably. Yeah. Hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Are you saying that whole period understood that passage as referring to Jesus?
As to the Messiah.
Yeah, but it's not Jesus necessarily.
Do you agree, does it interpret as the Messiah?
Are you agree that Cyrus was a Messiah?
There were many Messiahs.
Precisely. But why do you specifically say it has to be one individual and not, why do you identify it and not others?
Because even the Jews in Acts,
yes.
Don't forget,
okay.
Forgive me, the first church, first round of the early church, where was it?
You tell me.
Don't you know?
You tell me.
Where did they pray, the first Jews?
No idea, you tell me.
The first Christians prayed in the temple, in the Jewish synagogue.
Why do they pray in the temple?
They were praying with the Jews in the temple, in the synagogue.
Were they Jews themselves?
Yes.
I see. So why would Jews pray in the temple?
They were Christians. They believed that the crucifixion and resurrection.
No, hang on. I think are they Christians or they were Jews? I'm confused.
They were Christians.
Not Jews.
The first round of church was in the temples.
So you're saying the Christians upheld the Jewish law, yeah?
Not only that, Jesus was in the
Jew eat pork.
So hang on.
No. My point is this: most Christians today, virtually all Christians, don't follow the Jewish law at all, and yet you're holding up the first Christians as Torah observant Jews who had to sacrifice in the temple, as it says in the Torah. But you don't follow any of this. Why don't you follow the practices of the earliest Christians?
Hang in there.
I'm hanging in. I'm hanging in.
On other questions which we can answer them, but we must.
Well, you mentioned the temple in Jerusalem.
We're talking the temple. You're saying to me right? That
Christians
Psalm
in the
2
temple.
Yes,
Yeah.
Psalm 2,
Yeah.
right? Which is verified talking about Jesus in Acts 13:33 and Hebrews 1:5. Yeah. And these Christians, these Jews, Christians, were preaching this in their own
Fine.
synagogues and
Okay.
temples. And that's why you have the Jewish Second Temple interpretation, which
Okay.
you asked me.
Well, wonderful. Now I'm asking you about these early
Do you
Christians.
concede on that point?
I don't concede. I'm not. It's not a question of conceding. It's a
All
question
right,
of
whatever.
understanding.
Do you-
So,
do
let
you
me.
respect that?
Let me just point one interesting fact out. These early Christians were practicing Orthodox Jews. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Right. Why are you not a practicing Orthodox Jew?
Well,
Well, indeed. Why are you not following the practices of the early Christians?
because Jesus came down,
Right.
crucified,
Yes.
and resurrected,
Yes. And
fulfilled all the prophecies,
right.
right?
And the prophecies.
Theophanies,
The
and many
prophecies.
other
The prophecies
evidences,
spoke by the abolition of the law. Yeah.
and the change of, and yes, and fulfilled
So,
the law.
so where did the prophecies speak about the abolition of the law?
It didn't.
But you just said it did.
He fulfilled the law.
Okay. So that
He
means
fulfilled the law.
fine.
Under
So
a new covenant.
wonderful. Does the new covenant have the law, the Jewish law? Does it require Christians to follow?
You need to get circumcised.
So you don't, what about the law? The 613 commandments of the law. Are they
Have
still
you
in
read
operation? Have I read Paul? I believe I might have looked at him once.
Paul, have you read Paul?
Right. So you have conceded, as you put it, that the earliest Christians
conceded to anything.
were Jews,
Just tell
and
me.
you admitted they followed the law. I'm asking why you don't. So
No,
They were expelled from the synagogues.
they were expelled from the synagogue.
yeah.
The Christians, because they believed in the fulfilled law, and they were saying that you don't need to follow all the circumcision, that Gentiles can come in. The Jews didn't accept that, and they expelled them from the synagogues.
Right,
So
okay.
they were Jews, all right. They
Yeah.
were Jews, but
We were
because
right,
they
yeah.
believed the Messiah had arrived and the Messiah
So
had been
I'm
fulfilled,
confused.
they
Did the
were
first
expelled.
Christians, were they Torah observant Jews? I'm
Sorry?
confused. Were the first Christians Torah observant Jews?
Yes, until the fulfillment.
Sorry.
Until the fulfillment.
And the
Oh,
Great Commission.
and then they weren't anymore.
No, they was preaching
Yes.
in the synagogue. So Paul goes in the synagogue
Yeah.
and he's beaten in the synagogue
Yeah.
because he's preaching the fulfillment of the law.
Right.
But now we have the new salvation under the new covenant.
So do we
So
follow?
although he considered
So,
himself a Jew,
Yeah.
an observant Jew, he was preaching
so what did
the salvation.
so what did he preach about the Jewish law? Do Christians have to follow the Jewish law?
Christians don't know.
I see. So I'm confused now because you said the early Christians did uphold the Jewish law, and then Paul says they don't have to follow the law. I'm confused about what Christians
Right,
should
so
do.
the early Christians were Jews. So I think there's Jews who believed that the Messiah had arrived.
Yeah.
Jews who believed that the Messiah had come and fulfilled the laws. And those Jews who believed the Messiah had come, they was expelled from the temple.
Yeah, I know.
And then in Corinth, wasn't it? When it was
Yeah, but coming back to the law. Right, okay.
It's called Christians. So they was Jews who was expelled from the Jewish
And Antioch actually, but
But
anyway.
they did pray. The first church was actually in the synagogue.
Yeah.
That's where they prayed.
And
Not only
that's-
that's where Jesus even preached.
That's right.
The
Yeah.
book of Isaiah.
So
And when they're setting up the first churches, they followed the rule that you had to have, I think it was 60 to make a synagogue.
yeah,
And that's
something
what they
like
preached at any place where you were set.
So just to clarify, so the first Christians were Torah observant Jews, and then later on they realised that was a big mistake, and they stopped following
No.
obeying the Jewish law.
It wasn't a big mistake. Later,
Oh.
like they had the teachings of Jesus Christ. They saw the salvation.
But
and they
why
saw
did
the
why?
crucifixion.
But, the
They saw
first,
the
but
crucifixion.
why did the first Christians who had the teaching of Jesus not get it at first? Were they rather not very clever, or?
Well, they get it. That's why they were thrown out of the synagogues.
But I thought you said they followed the law, the Jewish Christians. first Christians.
Until they got Jesus' teaching. So
But didn't they have Jesus' teaching? The first Christians didn't the first Christians have Jesus' teaching?
the
I'm
fir-
confused. Didn't the first Christians have Jesus' teaching?
The first Christians,
Yeah.
yes, we're talking about the Jews.
Right. So why were they following the law when later on they
We're talking
abandoned
about
it?
the Jewish followers, the Jews.
I'm talking about the
These are
Christians.
Jews,
Talking
these are
Christians.
Jews who heard Jesus' words, who then witnessed the crucifixion and witnessed the resurrection. These were Jews. And these Jews then went and preached what they saw, and they went into the synagogues preaching the fulfillment of the law. And it was the Jews.
Well, what does fulfillment mean? What does fulfillment mean? Does fulfillment mean it's abolished?
Wait, no.
It means that it served its purpose, that God gave the covenant to the Jews for a set
So it's
purpose.
abrogated. It's abrogated.
I suppose as a Muslim you might use that word abrogated.
As a Muslim,
yeah.
no. I'm just trying to understand. So the law was abrogated.
in Islam, when you have a law that Allah gives, that's no longer relevant
Yeah.
because something has changed. Allah had it there for a set purpose,
Right.
for a set period of time. Then He abrogates.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about Islam here. I'm clarifying.
We're coming to common terms.
I'm using. No. I'm asking. I'm using English language that where you both understand. Are you saying that the law was abrogated?
In the sense that Muslims understand.
No, not in the
Yes,
sense.
that's what
No,
I'm using.
forget about
That's what I'm
Islam.
using.
Only
That's
I
what
want to
I'm
know how
using.
you understand, not how Muslims
I
understand
understand
it.
fulfilled. I understand that when
So-
something's fulfilled,
Yeah.
it means I'm doing something, it has a purpose,
Yeah.
I want an end result from it.
Yeah.
I've achieved that end result,
Yeah.
that is fulfilled. Now,
But is it abrogated?
Now the new covenant takes
Okay.
over.
Is it abrogated?
No.
It's not. You disagree. Have a conversation, you two. You don't agree with each
Well,
other.
that's
Well,
why I
I'm
said
telling-
in Islamic terms.
No. Can I ask you not to bring an Islamic term?
No,
I'm asking you about
No,
Christian
he-
terms.
he's right. The law was fulfilled.
So you want to talk about Islam, do you?
We're having
No,
a
wait a minute,
discussion.
wait a minute,
I
you're
wanna
running-
come,
you're
in
running-
the Quran it says come to common terms. So
One
the
minute.
best way for
No,
you to
it
understand
doesn't say that.
Christianity-
It doesn't say that.
The best way for
No,
me to
let
understand
me
is
let me
come to
let me
common
explain.
terms.
Let me explain to you why it doesn't say that. It says to Muslims to come to terms, common terms. But what I'm asking you to do is to explain your beliefs. As an academic exercise, I want to understand. You are not saying the law's abrogated, but you are saying it's not enforced. I'm confused. It sounds
We're
like it's
both
abrogated.
agreeing
It is
It was
fulfilled.
fulfilled. And can I
Fulfilled.
give you the answer?
So that's the word we would use.
The
we would
law
say-
was never
Right,
declared.
I've got the.
false.
I've got. Let me get synonyms here. If you don't like the word abrogated, let's do some synonyms. Has it been repealed or done away with, the Jewish law?
Not repealed.
Oh, it's not. So it's not been abrogated. Okay. Can you think of another word that would describe?
Jesus said, I didn't come
No,
to
no,
abolish the law.
no. Other than fulfilled.
Well, why? That's the Christian word. Why do you want a different
Can you
word?
think of a synonym?
Jesus
That's the
said,
word
I
of
did not come
Jesus.
to abolish
So
the law.
it's not the word of Jesus.
So you're saying
It's not the word of Jesus.
are not good enough on a
It's
debate
not the
about
word of Jesus. I'll tell you why. Jesus spoke Aramaic. Your New Testament's not in the language he spoke. It's in Greek, your language. And by the way,
Hang on, not
hang
according
on,
to
hang on a second. No,
Papias,
but,
Matthew
please,
was in Hebrew, the old one.
you're jumping in.
No,
It's the reason it's not.
It was his conversation to start with.
Yeah, but I was speaking and he just jumped in. The word Jesus spoke Aramaic. He didn't speak English. The New Testament's in Greek, not the language he spoke.
How do you know?
We are talking in English. Jesus didn't speak English. Don't ask me how I don't how I know.
Greek. You said he wasn't speaking Greek.
He preached in Aramaic. It was the language of his people.
But the
They
language
didn't
French
speak-
at the time
What
was
the book of
Aramaic,
In Galilee,
Greek, and the Latin was coming in from the Romans,
Yeah.
And he
which
read-
is why on the cross,
Right.
when Pilate put the
You-
charge
you
up,
accept-
he put them in Latin, in
Yeah.
Greek, and Hebrew.
you accept he didn't
Jesus
speak
was
English.
Greek.
You accept he didn't. You accept that Jesus didn't speak English. Okay.
Yeah.
You accept he didn't speak English.
No, English wasn't around in the Middle East at that time.
Really? Are you sure?
Well, the
Yeah,
British
well,
Empire.
English-
I'm being sarcastic.
As we understand English, it's
Right.
a quite modern language.
Right, fulfill, because you don't like to use any words other than fulfill. I'm going to look.
I'm using Jesus' word. What was the Greek for? Have you got the Greek word Jesus said he fulfilled? Matthew.
The law was never declared false or abolished. Matthew 5:17.
But it was. It was.
I did not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. The ceremonial and conventional requirements, circumcision, ritual purity, temple sacrifices, dietary laws, reached their...
He doesn't agree with this because he doesn't follow the law.
And are no longer
Yeah. Thank you.
binding.
Unless I'm listening to
No, you're backing my point. That's exactly what I'm arguing. You don't follow that teaching.
The moral content, no, we don't have to be circumcised.
No, it doesn't say that. That's your spin. I'm looking at the words of Jesus. Do not think I've come to abolish the law, but you believe it has been abolished.
No, we don't
All right.
believe it.
Do you eat pork?
Yeah,
Well, excuse me. The Torah says that you cannot eat pork.
yeah,
Did Jesus eat pork?
because...
No,
the
simple question. Did Jesus eat pork? It's not a trick question. I know that you can work out the answer. It's there in the Bible. Did Jesus eat pork?
Yeah, because they were no longer binding.
Oh, he did eat pork.
No,
No, he didn't eat pork.
He didn't eat pork.
Why didn't he eat pork?
Because it was under the law then.
Precisely.
He was the law.
But do you follow Jesus' teaching?
Yes,
But why didn't you not eat pork?
because he's teaching. Well, let me answer.
Yeah. What's the
Because
answer?
he's
What's the
teaching-
answer?
His teaching was, he said,
Yes.
hasn't come to abolish the law,
Yeah.
but to fulfill
Which
it.
means what?
And he's finished with that covenant, that teaching, that law. Now,
Oh, is that what it says?
we don't have to be circumcised. Ritual purity.
Where does
temple
Jesus say that circumcision had been abolished? Where did Jesus say that? And don't read from your Greek commentary. I want to know where Jesus said it. Where did Jesus say that circumcision, the requirement thereof, had been abolished? in the Gospels. Where did he say that?
When he says he's come to fulfill the law. So that was part of the law, the circumcision. Circumcision goes all the way back before the Mosaic law, goes back to Abraham.
It was transformed in Christ.
And in, what's the one where it says baptism now corresponds to this?
Right. You see, the reason when you say fulfilled,
15,
it's interesting. You won't give me a synonym for this, will you? You won't give me an alternative word for
No,
fulfilled.
because I'm going by the Bible, what the Bible tells us. So
But fulfilled isn't actually in Jesus' language. It's English. So it's been translated. They've chosen this word.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the reason why you're mistaken is this. According to the NIV, do you accept the NIV? You won't, but do you accept the NIV?
Anyway, yeah, go with-
Because it's evangelical. You're not evangelical.
He's not evangelical.
You're not.
I'm not, and he's not.
Yeah, right.
He ain't.
What are you then?
Roman
Catholic,
Catholic.
Roman Catholic.
Oh, are you? Oh, you are. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
What
You're not.
do you
You're
want?
not.
Thank you for confirming that.
No, you have.
Thank you. At last I know
My
I'm a
my
Catholic.
mistake. My mistake. I remember you from like a few weeks ago. You're not really arguing like a Catholic, but never mind about that. Do not. Okay, this is
Well,
what
Catholic argue.
Jesus says in Matthew 17 about. It's not what he said about fulfillment. Yeah. Do not think I've come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. You agree with Jesus that
Yes,
so
sir.
far, do you? But truly I tell you, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen, will by any means disappear from the Jewish law until everything is accomplished. Therefore, anyone who sets aside one of the least of these commandments, eating pork, for example, and teaches others accordingly, will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches them these commandments will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the scribes of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, this means the law is still very much in operation for the disciples of Jesus. It's not saying it's abrogated. I know you think it's a Muslim word. It's hilarious. It's not a funny thing you said there. It's just saying the law is in operation in Matthew's gospel. But you don't believe that as a Catholic. You don't believe that. You don't believe that as an Orthodox. Because you eat pork, for example.
Yeah.
Jesus says, whoever sets aside one of the least of these commandments of the law. Leviticus says you
Until
cannot
when?
eat pork.
To when?
And teach.
Until heaven and earth pass away.
Yeah.
So in
Heaven and earth is not passed away.
Well,
Well,
heaven and earth is Jesus
we're still
talking
here.
about.
We're still
In
here.
Jeremiah, God says, "I will bring a new heaven and a new earth." That's the new covenant. It
Right.
says that in Revelation as well. In Jesus' crucifixion, the temple of the curtain, which represents the barrier between heaven and earth, is destroyed. It is set asunder. So now the new heaven and earth are together. That's how the church fathers interpreted that.
No, but that's not what Jesus taught. You see, that's how the church fathers. Jesus said, until heaven and earth pass away, the law will not pass away. This is what he also said this to Jesus' disciples. At the end of his ministry, he said this. Jesus says to his disciples and the crowds, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. In other words, they teach the law.
Yeah.
You with
so
me?
you must obey
So you must be careful to do everything they tell you to do, which will, by the way, will be not eating pork.
Yeah.
But do not do what they do, for they don't practice what they preach.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that teaching by Jesus?
At that time when Jesus is teaching that, Jesus is still on his mission walking the earth.
Yeah.
So he has not
Do you agree with that teaching of
final
Jesus?
Sacrifice. He has not sacrificed himself on the cross
Uh-huh.
and risen from the dead yet.
What's it?
That's the new covenant.
Why does it say, but I say
So
to you?
So
And
hang
it
on. So
doesn't-
I want to be clear here. So you're saying that Jesus' teaching is all kind of obsolete now because it all happened before his death on the cross.
Not obsolete, fulfilled.
Well, yeah, but it's no longer
So
operational, is
at
it?
that time, the sacrifice hadn't been given.
Right.
So, the
So
sacrifice for all
where
our
does
sins-
Jesus say that when I die on the cross, this teaching, which by the way will not disappear until heaven and earth will pass away, but it will pass away in 5 minutes' time when I die on the cross?
So when Jesus dies on the cross, when he sacrifices, I told you the curtain temple splits.
Yeah.
That's
Wait.
that's the new covenant because Jesus, at the time,
Where's his-
when
Where
the
do you
time
get the
he's talking to
abolition of the law from
when
the
time
curtain?
he's talking to them, they still have to follow the law that's
Right.
been given for the
Okay.
remission of their sins. Otherwise,
Right.
they have no remission. But then once Jesus is the new sacrifice, now you have that new remission of sins.
But where does Jesus teach any of this stuff? Where Jesus doesn't say
does
this
he
in the
say about the
Gospels.
sacrifice
This is the
of
end of his ministry. He's saying them to obey the teachers of the law in what they teach.
where's the end
But
of his
because
ministry? What-
there's a warning against hypocrisy,
What one are you
don't
reading there?
Matthew 23, Matthew 23, Matthew
5,
23.
21 to 48, it says, but I say to you. He says,
So-
it is written, but I say to you.
Yeah, but he's deepening the law. He's not abolishing it.
Yes, he's reinterpreting.
Exactly, thank you.
He reinterprets
So
and surpasses
why
it.
would Jesus, at the end of his ministry, reinforce the importance of obeying God's law, the Sharia, if you like, the halakha, the law, God's law? Only you say 5 minutes later, you claim when he dies on the cross, it's abolished. It doesn't make any sense. Why would he bother teaching
Not
this?
abolished.
Why
He
would
surpasses it.
the church bother to preserve teaching which is no longer of relevance to them? You're not following Jesus' teaching. You are following a later doctrine invented by men.
No. So why did you say
Matthew
what-
23.
here-
Matthew 23.
Yeah, Matthew 23. Jesus is talking about the hypocrisy of the scribes and Pharisees.
Absolutely.
But because they have the law of Moses, they sit on the seat. They
Yep.
are the judges of the
Yeah,
Israel.
exactly.
You have to do what they say, but don't copy what they do because they wear their long.
Precisely.
flat
You're just repeating what it says. I've already said all this. My point is,
No, you're saying there's a change in sacrifices. What does it say there?
I'm
about
saying
the
what? I'm simply saying the law is operational even at the end
Where's
of
it
Jesus'
saying-
ministry.
Where's it saying here?
Where's it saying what? Jesus
what
teaching
you-
at the end of his ministry to uphold God's law. You're
But
saying
he
you don't
must-
follow God's law because shortly he's going to die on the cross. I'm saying, where does Jesus say that? Where does he say, oh, by the way, this is only going to be teaching for the next 5 minutes because
He
the
doesn't, but
next
what he
day
says-
I'm going to be dying on the cross?
He says that he comes to be the sacrifice for us. That in the Last Supper, his bread and his body is offered up for us. So it's at that point, at the Last Supper, when he just before he goes on the cross, that's when the new sacrifice takes place.
Do you know what the problem with that is? This is the biggest problem of all, and this is something you've probably not thought about Jesus' own disciples. How did they understand this teaching we're talking about? Let's look at the head of the church. Who was the head of the church after Jesus ascended into heaven?
After the in Jerusalem, it was James.
Right, okay, perfect. Okay, so let's look at James. James, according to Eusebius, Eusebius, and other sources, was elected or appointed by Peter and John and a few other people. So he was the successor of successor of Jesus. It's a bit like a Shia caliphate in a way. You had the family of Jesus, the royal family, succeeding each other. I know you've proud, but this is, yeah. So what was the religion of James?
They was all Jews.
What was the religion
already
of?
said that,
Okay,
we're
no,
Jews.
I'm talking about the ethnicity here. I'm talking about
No,
their
the
religion. What was the religion of James?
So you
What is your
don't recognise Judaism as a religion.
What is your point?
Is it Judaism?
Well, what was it then?
Well, I'm asking you a question. You're asking me the question.
I told
I'm asking you. You said it was a
said to me,
Jew.
What was their religion? I said Jew, and you're saying that's
No,
not religion.
there are people down
You have to
here.
tell me what it is
I'll
then.
tell you why. Because the people down here are atheists who are Jews. There's a guy over there who's an atheist.
Yeah, so-
But I want to know what the religion of this Jew was. What was it?
Second Temple Judaism.
So it was.
I don't know.
No, that's good. That's good. That's lovely. That's lovely.
Just say Jew.
No, you're right. He according to our records, you've heard of Josephus, the Jewish historian.
yeah.
You're aware that he wrote quite a bit about James. He was a first century Jewish historian from Jerusalem, a contemporary. And what did he say about James, the actual historical figure of James?
Go on, tell us.
Are you aware?
Bits and pieces that he wrote.
Bits and pieces. Yeah, like
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Like what?
Well, he
Give me
writes
some
that,
pieces. Give me some pieces.
So Eusebius, you were saying?
No.
What he wrote-
Josephus is in the first
Oh,
century.
Josephus.
Well, you can talk
no,
about
go on,
Eusebius
go on,
as well.
go on.
Eusebius is also relevant, by the
Yeah,
way.
go on then. Tell me what did he
Okay.
say.
The overwhelming impression from all the sources, independent of the New Testament that I've looked at, Eusebius, the third century church historian, and the Jewish historian, not the Christian, Josephus, they all speak about James the same way. He was a Torah. This is how they portray him. He was a Torah observant Jew.
Yes.
He was. You say yes as if it's obvious, but given what you just said about the temple and all this stuff. Now, hang on. This is after Jesus' death and resurrection, according to you. Okay, the head of the church, elected by the apostles themselves.
Jerusalem Council.
What was his religion? His religion, you were right, was Judaism. It wasn't actually. That's a bit anachronistic. It wasn't rabbinical Judaism. That's a little bit
not
later.
rabbinic, yeah.
But second to temple Judaism. We'll call it
Yeah.
that. Second temple Judaism, to be technical. Okay, so James did not understand the religion of his brother, because he was his brother, by the way, biological brother, in anything like. I know you'd shudder because you believe in the perpetual virginity of Mary, but that's not historical.
Just get-
We'll get the point, yeah.
James himself did not, it seems, understand his brother's religion and faith in the way that you do. Why?
Okay.
Because he did not see
Well-
once Jesus died as a sacrificial thing and the temple was that the law was no longer obligatory for people, he still carried
So
on to obey the law.
okay.
Why did he obey the law if what you're saying is true?
So at the Council of
Do you
Jerusalem,
understand my point?
That's it.
Thank you.
at the Council of Jerusalem,
Acts
when they're
25.
all arguing about whether they should follow the rules of the old Judeo,
Where the
Jewish law,
Gentiles should.
James,
Where the Gentiles should.
James,
Not they,
yeah.
not the Jews, the Gentiles.
Yeah, because the Jews have
Now,
the covenant. So the Jews have the
James
benefit
was a
of this.
Jew who followed Judaism.
If you have a covenant, it's bound by two parties.
Okay.
So the Jews were still bound by the covenant they had sworn to until they accepted Christianity.
Right.
So James stood up and said
Yes.
that we will not encumber them with...
Who's them? Who's them?
The Gentiles.
Exactly. So I'm talking about Jews here. Forget about Gentiles for a sec. I'm talking about the Jewish leaders of the original church in Jerusalem after the ascension of Jesus. How did they understand Jesus' teaching? My argument is they did not follow what you just said. They did not understand Jesus' death and resurrection as entailing that they no longer follow the Jewish law in its entirety. Why? Because all our evidence, Josephus, Eusebius, Hesepicus, etc., and James himself in Acts 15, who boasts how zealous all these Pharisaical converts are for the law. He boasts at the council. All our evidence suggests that they were fanatical Torah observant Jews. And yet you're saying, oh no, when Jesus died on the cross, all this no longer applied. They had a new covenant. The temple was going.
Like that.
It doesn't add up.
Why?
What I'm saying is it doesn't add up what you're saying.
Well, it does add up because James
Really?
is the one who stands up and says that we do not... If James is this fanatic Jew that you say, then he would be insisting...
That was
the
rhetorical, by
Judaizers,
the way. It wasn't really
like the Judaizers who... That's the reason the council met, because there was Judaizers who were
Yes,
saying
yes.
Gentiles must become Jews in order to benefit from the covenant. James is the one who stood up at the end of the council after Peter and others had spoken, and he said, no, we will not encumber them with this. Now, if he's this, fanatic Torah Jew, he would have said, you've got to have this. But he's realised that
No, he wouldn't have said that. He wouldn't have said that because the Jews have never understood, correct me if I'm wrong, the Jews have never understood that the Torah, the 630 commandments of the law, apply to Gentiles. It only applies to the Israelites, with which God had a covenant with. He's not imposing it on the Syria, the Persians, or anyone else. So this is a kind of an empty point. Yeah, of course, no one's ever saying the Gentiles should follow the commandments of God in the Torah. No one's ever saying that.
It tells us that the party of the Judaizers
Yeah.
wanted all the Gentile converts to follow.
Do you remember what point you see? This is actually off the subject. My point is this: you argued that when Jesus died on the cross, the temple was torn up and all that. That the law, which Jesus said must be followed in Matthew 23, this teaching no longer applies. Is that right?
For the Gentiles, for the followers.
No,
of the new
for
covenant,
Jews. For
but
Jews.
for those Jews who follow the new covenant, who are Messianic Jews,
Yes.
yeah, they don't have to.
Right. How come James did follow it then?
Because they were all members of synagogues and they had to follow what the synagogues
No.
were preaching.
James was not a member of a synagogue. He was the head of the church in Jerusalem.
He was still a member of the synagogues because when Paul...
Yeah,
when
but
Paul
it doesn't matter what he's a member of.
when
His
Paul is
theology
getting
involved.
maltreated by the Jews,
Okay.
James says to Paul that you should go into the temple and make the vow so that they realise...
That was later. That was in the 50s.
But it's
I'm talking
still
about
showing
AD
that
30. AD 30.
Jewish community.
Right.
They was part of the Jewish
Who? The Gentiles?
No, the apostles. They was all...
Right.
They
So
were going into the
why was
synagogues.
James still upholding and practicing the Jewish law, given what you understand about the role of the law?
Because he's going to the Jews. That's who they was first
No, but
preaching
why
to.
is he still a Torah observant Jew at all? You said, you agree with it 30 seconds
It was
ago,
a cultural
that in the new
continuity.
covenant,
Yeah.
that this is no longer binding or required for Jews, for anyone to do, for
Salvation
Jews.
requirement.
Yeah, but James and the early apostles did continuing following
Yeah.
the Jews. But why did they?
Because it
What
was a
happened when Paul-
culture.
What happened when Paul was accused
Nothing to do
of-
with culture.
What
It
happened
is.
It was a religious commitment.
No.
Culture.
No.
This is to do with religion here, not culture.
It was cultural.
Come on, get
It
serious.
was continuity.
It's like saying a
right,
Muslim
right.
follows
It's
the
a
Sharia and a
continuity,
culture.
It's not to do with salvation.
It's not to do with culture.
Well, and that law, the old law, was not a
They was
salvation.
Uh,
Oh,
trying to kill Paul because they accused him.
I'm not talking about Paul. I'm talking about James.
James, because he goes to James. When
No, he
Paul
doesn't.
comes- yes,
No,
he
dude,
does.
Paul
When-
came a Christian later on.
When Paul comes down to
That was
to
later.
James, he says,
Okay.
James says, I've heard the reports that the
I know
Judaizers
all
are
this.
trying
I know.
to kill him.
I
He
know.
has to go take
Yeah.
a vow because
Are
they
you aware
still
that
part
Paul
of the
became a
synagogue.
Christian later?
Yes, he was.
I'm talking about AD 30 at the beginning here. Before Paul was still breathing fire against the converts and all that. So forget about Paul. This is before. Yeah, I'm just.
Before the Council of Jerusalem, Paul was,
Yeah, so
Paul was a delegate.
I'm not talking about Paul. You want to
He was
bring
a
up.
delegate at the Council of Jerusalem.
Yeah,
though.
I'm
This is
talking.
where James
When was the
stands
Council
up.
of Jerusalem? AD 48.
somewhere around there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm talking about AD 30.
Right.
Years before. Right at the beginning. I'm talking at the beginning when after Jesus' ascension, according to our records, Josephus, Hesapicus, etc., James, the Lord's brother, as he was called, was appointed the head of the Christians, or the disciples of Jesus, in Jerusalem. Paul knew nothing about this. He wasn't even a Christian at this stage. It's years before the Jerusalem Council. Yet James continued to be a passionate, I shouldn't have said fanatical, passionate upholder of the Jewish law. Did he not understand your faith? Did he not understand things?
Where is he not doing Christian
I'm
things?
so
Because
sorry.
in the Bible, he is. So you're going to Josephus outside the Bible saying that he was a...
It's not outside the Bible. It was written before the Bible. The New Testament didn't exist. The New Testament did not exist when Josephus was writing his works, his history.
So what we know of James from the Acts of the Apostle, he was commissioning the deacons to go out and spread the word.
When? In the Acts of Jerusalem.
Philip the deacon who goes and meets.
You're talking about
the
the Council of Jerusalem, yeah?
No, before the Council of Jerusalem.
Okay, right. But remember, we're talking here about James's religion and what he practiced. All the evidence suggests that he was a passionate Torah observant Jew way before Paul was even a Christian. We're talking about AD 30, AD 31, that kind of thing. Do you accept that, or do you think Josephus is wrong?
Part of the synagogue.
Can I say something?
Yeah, but in terms of his practice, do you believe that that James upheld the law? Yes or no?
Yeah, you would have gone into the synagogue and not done what.
No, I'm not
required.
concerned about him going anywhere. I'm taking in terms of his faith. Did he uphold? Was he zealous for the law?
You can uphold it. There's nothing wrong with me saying I abstain from pork. I can uphold that.
You can be
part of the law.
vegetarian. You can be
No, I can be
vegetarian.
So there's nothing incumbent upon me as a Christian to say,
Can I ask a
I'm a
question?
Christian now.
Not really.
I must eat
Why?
pork.
Because I'm talking to him.
James,
You run.
Ja-
You run.
James-
I am running. You're right. I'm talking to him.
James didn't have to.
I'm running away. I'm scared.
Yeah, but
James
you are.
didn't
You're
have
not.
to say-
Don't be so rude.
No, you're rude because you're
I'm
not
just
letting
trying
me
to.
speak.
I'm trying to listen to this
Yeah,
guy's
you're
explanation.
scared. You're scared.
I am very
Just make
scared.
this point, George, and then, over
go on.
to you.
George, do I
James-
look scared? I mean,
James-
seriously.
Yeah.
Carry on.
James
You
didn't
won't
have
let-
to
you
give
won't
up
let me
any
ask
of his
You don't
Judaism.
have patience, brother. Patience. Yes.
James didn't have to give up any of his Judaism to benefit from the new covenant.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So he could still abstain from pork.
I would argue.
He could still
No.
go to the temple. We could
Yeah.
still do all the things.
I would
that
argue the
and
New
still
Testament
be a Christian.
requires him. I would say the New Covenant requires him to obey the Jewish law in its entirety. Do you
Right,
agree with
but-
that?
No.
Well, where is the great prophecy of the New Covenant in the
Ask him
Jewish
this.
Bible?
No, you ask. Go on.
Ask him.
Well, no, I mean, he wants to have a go as well, bless him. But
What?
in Jeremiah 31, you're aware of
Jeremiah,
Jeremiah
yeah.
31, this
Go on.
great prophecy of the New Covenant.
The new covenant, yeah.
You're aware of this prophecy.
Yeah, yeah,
This is a really key. It's quoted in the New Testament in reference to the New Covenant. Maybe you're not aware of that, or maybe you are aware of that.
Jeremiah says that's what I was saying earlier. The new heavens, the new earth.
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
new
So
covenant, yeah.
it talks about the new covenant. The days are coming when I will make a new covenant with the people of Israel, with the peoples of Judah. It will not like be the other covenant. Blah blah blah. This is talking about the new covenant that you're talking about. Do you agree, or
Yeah,
not?
Go.
Do you agree? This is talking about the covenant that you're talking about.
Let's see, because Jeremiah goes off on different things.
What he
So
does.
where we-
This is Jeremiah 31. It is quoted in the New Testament in reference to the new covenant. So it's not like some random claim. This is directly relevant to the New Testament's speech about the new covenant. Isaiah 31 is usually verse 31. 31.
Isaiah or Jeremiah? Jeremiah, you said, was it? Jeremiah.
No, sorry, Jeremiah 31:31 is usually seen as the key text about the new covenant.
Yeah, the new covenant. Behold, the
Do you accept that it is? Or are we
Yes,
talking
yes.
Wonderful. So if you read it, so the days are coming, new covenant and all that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Are you going, George? Are you?
George,
You won't let me ask you.
because I'm running away. I'm running away.
I'm not running away. You won't let me ask
I'm running
you.
away.
We started talking. The
Yeah,
gentleman
I
said
know,
something, but you won't let
It
me
was
ask
his
you a couple of
conversation.
Because
so let him answer.
Well, no, George, you don't have any patience. You're like a guy who wants.
George, come back.
He has no patience. This guy.
Yeah, I know.
He's like a kid in a school. He wants-
No, he's right though. He started the conversation with you,
Yeah, but
and I joined
this is
in.
speaker-
and
this is speaker's
so,
corner,
Yeah,
yeah.
you should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
George, come back.
So, anyway, so this is the covenant I will make with the people of Israel. This is verse 33. I will put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts. I will be their God and they will be my people. Yeah?
Yeah.
33.
There's what happened to
And-
32.
and
What
no-
happened to 32.
Okay, 32. And it would not be like the covenant with the ancestors because they
so
broke my
different
covenant.
different covenant.
Yeah, it's a new covenant. Yeah, I
So
agree.
It's not like that old covenant, that Mosaic covenant.
Right, because it's a bit, but no, it will be like the Mosaic covenant in one
Not
way.
like the covenant I made with their fathers on the day when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. My covenant that they broke. Yeah, so it won't be like that covenant. It's going to be
This new covenant would be. Well, let's look at what it says the new covenant is.
Yeah.
I will put my law. This is the Jewish law in their minds and
No,
write
this is
it.
God's law. This is God's law.
I'm just quoting what the Bible says. You're
It
correct.
doesn't say I put my Jewish law.
Well, it's the Jewish law we're talking about.
No, this is the new covenant. God says, I will put my law.
When it says that the law, it is the Torah itself.
No,
Okay,
because he's already said, I'm going to make a new covenant, not like the old covenant. I will put my law into their hearts. This is God saying he will put his law, not the Jewish, not the Mosaic law. He's going to put his law. Yeah?
Right. This is referring to the law, which would now no longer be an external law, where you have to, as it says in verse 34, you have to ask your neighbor about, know the law, because they will know me, because the law will be written on their hearts.
Yeah.
Now, this is the Torah be written in their hearts. My argument is that this is not the abolition of the law, it's a new mode of living with the law, where it becomes very, very personal, very much in the heart and in the mind, as it says in verse 33. This is what's new about the covenant. It's not the abolition of the law. The Jewish law resides in the hearts of every single man, woman, child in Israel. So this new covenant is not what Paul claims in Ephesians 2:15, where he says the law has been abolished with its commandments. He actually says that in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 15. This is different.
I agree with your second part of the analysis about it being written on their heart. But again, the first verse, it says that this is not like the covenant I made with their fathers.
Yeah, because it's external.
Not like the Torah.
No, it wasn't external. Oh, the police arrived. They don't like the heresy. No, I'm just joking. Why are there so many police? I mean, I'm just saying who they're... It's not poor old George who's got upset, is it? No, okay.
No, George is a very
I know.
nice
To be fair, he is a nice man.
and
He lacks patience sometimes. He just gets a bit upset.
Yeah,
He
no,
rushes off.
him,
Oh,
yeah.
talk to me. Why are you talking to me?
No, he's done that with quite a few. I like him, but
No, he's a nice chap.
impatient.
He is a
Yeah,
bit.
he's impatient.
This is characteristic,
But
by the way.
he is a good guy.
I agree. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm going to.
yeah.
Well, but I'll leave the concluding words to you.
Because I'm looking for Rayhan anyway. I'm supposed to be having another chat with him.
Oh, good. No, this has been. It's been.
He's further down.
I mean,
over there, he probably didn't come because we was talking here. But
just saying thank you for your good, your positive interaction.
Always good to have a good chat with people.
And
peace be with you.
peace be with you too, as Jesus said to his
I
disciples.
just want to say one last thing. I know you're a good guy, but you know what? As what we believe, if Christians start properly, carefully reading the Bible, they will become Muslims.
And do you know, we
Do you
believe,
know that?
Do you know that we believe if Christians start properly reading the Bible,
Am I free of all the insects?
Hopefully,
I mean, the microphones.
inshallah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're free.
Make of that what you will.
I said to him, if Christians start reading the Bible properly, they become